Phantom sense is a psychological phenomenon where users in virtual reality perceive physical sensations from the virtual actions and stimuli even without physical contact.
Jay, I don't think anyone is here.
Because I have phantom pain!
Oh wait, so if I just like do this, do you feel
Hold on, don't touch me.
Alright, jump him! Boom, 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 boom! Now the phantom pain I'd rather not have, but I can't control that. Sometimes phantom smell is really bad, depending if someone's wearing a zombie avatar, the smell is unpleasant.
Rainbow here has severe phantom sense, so please try to not walk through her, or you will be removed from this instance.
Welcome back to the psychiatric ward of the internet that is Vrchat. Yes, it's been a few months since my last Vrchat video, and it's time for your quarterly colonoscopy and radiation exposure to this community once again. With me, a person with 3,000 hours of experience in the virtual dystopian landscape that is Vrchat, and once again my only excuse being most of those hours were from COVID, and that is really my only excuse. However, Vrchat, I feel like this year especially, has been once again pushed into the limelight of the internet. Mainly for the wrong reasons.
Hey, I just want you to know, you probably don't want to talk to us. Like, we're really weird, and we're probably gonna, like, groom you or something.
Who the starts a conversation like that? I just sat down.
Yes, Vrchat has been pushed to the forefront of the internet multiple times, and each time it only shows the most unemployed, mentally deranged, disturbing, and just all-around cringe individuals. Like seeing some of these clips where people either over-explain about their problems to strangers in a public lobby, when a normal person would need to be waterboarded with sulfuric acid to get anything on the same level out of them.
I like pets.
Yeah, same, man. I'm friends with them.
I'm not even joking. Like, I'm dead ass.
Yeah, same.
Why do you like pets?
Because trauma.
Oh.
It's a trauma thing.
How old are you?
I'm 18.
Are you one yourself?
Me? No, I just like them.
Or they just take the game way too seriously, to the point where if you impact their immersion in any way, they will threaten you, most times through the virtual world.
I will put your ass 6 feet under! Oh my god, I will pull out an avatar and I will shoot you with a revolver!
I honestly can't tell if these individuals are worse or on par with a community like Hasbin Hotel. Like, if this doesn't give you second-hand embarrassment, have your toes crinkling or somewhat produce a grimacing appearance on your face, then either you are one of these individuals, or you've gone through copious amounts of exposure therapy, or you're getting a slight ego boost knowing that individuals out there like this exist, and you don't look that bad with 1,000+ hours in Factorio, and a LinkedIn profile that looks as derelict as the Payday 3 servers. In that case, fair play, you little narcissist. But as said in most of my previous videos, these people have a relatively low spawn rate on Vrchat. They probably make up, I estimate, less than 10% of the whole population of the game. The majority of the population nowadays is either kids on Quest, alcoholics and recreational drug users, people that stare at themselves in the mirror but physically recoil when they do the same thing outside of the headset, e-couples, and people that get on to socialise and chill after work or school. And most of those people don't actually go into public worlds anymore, and are mostly found in private worlds with their own friends groups. Mainly because going into public worlds in the hopes of socialising and making friends would be as useful as attempting to communicate with a server full of the blind and deaf, because most publics are filled with screaming kids.
I'm playing on a fucking laptop? Do you think I'm playing on a standalone Quest? No, I have a fucking Valve Index! I work my fucking ass off to get this son of a bitch basic fucking accent! So if you wanna come over here...
But once again, these interactions you see on certain platforms are quite rare. But there is one trend or similarity, if you will, with these interactions. As with most of these interactions, you commonly see a specific topic referenced. A topic that within Vrchat itself could be considered a taboo, and said topic has also exploded in popularity recently and is now regularly talked about on Vrchat, and almost always induces the same reaction by those in close proximity. And that topic is also the subject of today's video, and that is phantom sense.
No, I have phantom sense. I don't mind if people grab my tail and touch me and stuff. It's just when people run through me.
Now first, what is phantom sense? Well, if we look up the definition, it says, phantom sense is the perception of physical sensations such as touch, temperature, or movement that are not being caused by external stimuli but by the brain's own processing. So basically, you feel things that are not actually happening. A lot of the time this applies to people like amputees, because their brain still thinks there's a limb there when there isn't. There was a Dr. House episode on it, where he basically kidnapped a guy, and no, it was nothing to do with lupus. However, when applied to virtual reality, it refers to physically feeling stimuli presented through the headset. Like maybe physically feeling an object on your hands, or the sensation of something touching you in the game. Like one of your big furry friends coming to give you a hug and you can feel every knot in his fur touching you. Or as many of you will want after hearing me say that, the cold metal barrel of a 12 gauge shotgun reaching the back of your throat. Phantom sense is a very common subject discussed in Vrchat, and it's only got more common as the years have gone by and the game has gotten more and more popular. Yeah, the game is still not dying, by the way. The flood-like infection is getting worse, and this isn't even showing the amount of people on the Quest platform. But once again, as the game has grown, so has the talk of phantom sense and its many subgenres, which we'll talk about later. But for context, when I started playing the game, if someone said they had phantom sense, not only was it very rare, but it would normally lead to one of two reactions. Someone genuinely confused and unable to understand the concept, or they respond by asking if you are the average Rust door camper and are completely void of intelligence because nobody really ever believed it back then. And if they did, well done, you have just painted yourself as a target for the whole lobby and people are going to start physically assaulting you pretty soon. And I'm pretty sure they would have selected a nice curb for you to set your molars and canines on. Back in the day there was even videos to guide you on how to develop phantom sense within the game, and what the f*** is that thumbnail? But the idea of phantom sense has always been somewhat pretty cool to me. If the person telling me they have it isn't lying about it or taking it way too seriously. Like if you think about it, it is a deeper level of immersion in the game that can't really be simulated. Yes, you have things like haptic suits which can vibrate when someone else touches you, who also in the early days would also get jumped in public lobbies as soon as people heard you had it. And then you have people that sync certain toys to games like Dark Souls, so every time they get hit, their arsehole turns into a maraca, which is obviously for immersion purposes. However, as said before, as the years have gone by with more and more people coming to Vrchat, and especially in recent years, phantom sense has become more of a popular topic and a lot more people believe in it now. But can you actually feel things occurring in a video game with the assistance of a VR headset? Or are these people that sometimes, for some reason, that go out of their way to make sure you know they have it and make it their whole personality, and get surprised and complain when people decide to test it, even though there are safety settings like personal space to prevent it, simply just lying about the whole thing? Because even I, who thought it's a cool concept, in the past have been skeptical of its existence. I used to think that if you could feel things in VR, your brain was built like your average BMW driver riding your ass in a 20-mile-per-hour school zone. So, built incorrectly. Well, despite the reputation of this topic and the reputation of Vrchat players in general, but this subject and quite possibly phenomenon is not that hard to believe in general. Even to this day you have people that simply just get motion sickness just from looking at first-person shooters, because the perspective messes with their brain, sometimes making them physically ill. So if just the perspective of a first-person shooter is enough to confuse some people's brains, what would actually seeing through the eyes and controlling an avatar do to that tiny brain of yours? But going back to that question, is it real? Well, yes, phantom sense is real. If you want to be a nerd about it, there are published academic studies that go into phantom sense, or phantom touch as they call it, in the virtual world. In this paper, they referenced other papers and studies that went into the same subject, and they believe it is a thing that exists. Specifically, they mentioned feeling heat, pressure, and touch. And their main evidence was using qualitative data regarding people sharing their experiences, and they were also able to find a trend amongst them. But can you develop phantom sense naturally? Well, this part is a hit or miss. People either feel it as soon as they jump in VR for the first time, or it slowly develops the more they interact with virtual reality. And some can only experience it when either intoxicated or using substances. All of this is also mentioned in the aforementioned paper, but a better question is, can you intentionally train your brain to feel a probably 6-foot fairy Five Nights at Freddy's character with a bust size bigger than the Hiroshima mushroom cloud, because of course that's in Vrchat, and of course it's popular, interacting with you in the virtual world? Or in better words, can you train yourself to have phantom sense? Well, referring back to that published paper, they say there are certain strategies to develop phantom sense, like gaslighting yourself into believing you have it, using avatars that closely resemble yourself and your own physique, or in general just being relaxed. Some ranged from just feeling a tingle to full-on feeling hands and or pressure on their limbs when touched, and it's believed to occur due to the brain being tricked into thinking the virtual environment is real, or it's trying to predict the sensations that aren't actually there. So in conclusion, in some capacity it does exist, if you do want to believe the amount of academic papers published on it, and the one person in a public lobby that has it in their bio and is actively advertising it to everyone in the lobby. But from a previous veteran of this game doing multiple tours, have I ever felt it? No, this isn't the part in the video like all my others where I say, oh, I've actually experienced this myself, it's not so bad as people make it out to be. No. I only felt it once when I first started playing the game, only on my nose, and it was like a little tickle, and that was when people were full on poking me in the face, and that is it. The more I played, the quickly it went away, where to this day I have never experienced that sensation again. That's quite literally it. No 5-minute segment about my experience, and I don't care that much to Pavlov myself into feeling it again. Now you would think that's all there really is to talk about phantom sense. It's an experience some people get from the start of their terrible journey in Vrchat, some can develop it over time, and some even brute force it on themselves, and some make it their entire personality. That's it. That's not it, because it gets much worse from here on. Because phantom sense is just the surface level. There are many subgenres and variations that get more and more extreme whilst also becoming harder to believe. With the probably most infamous to the point where you can't escape it being phantom pain.
I have phantom sense. I'm gonna phantom come.
Now this is where it sort of gets more ridiculous, and probably why phantom sense and maybe Vrchat players in general recently have gotten such a bad rep. First we have potentially the most believable, phantom pain. Yeah, I'm gonna stop using that bit now. But phantom pain is basically like phantom sense, but instead of just feeling the pressure of some of the actions occurring, you also feel the pain. It's a natural thing outside of Vrchat, once again mainly felt by people like amputees, and it's probably the most popular version of phantom sense right now, and the most joked about, primarily because of some of the reactions of the people that supposedly have it not always being so calm, to say the least.
This! Knock it off!
Why? It's not bothering you.
It is.
How?
It's bothering me a lot.
How so?
Because it's irritating my eyes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sticking a knife on your eyes. I guess it would, yeah.
Because I have phantom pain!
Like, I would understand the reaction if someone is plunging a 6-inch blade into your urethra, and you can feel every bit of pain, but once again, there is a personal space setting to save you from it, and I wouldn't go into a public lobby without that enabled, and especially would not let anyone know I have it. I actually ran into a person that had it in a public Great Pug World in Vrchat, and I was genuinely curious and asked if I punched them in the face, would they feel the pain in their teeth? And if I was to theoretically cut their limbs off in-game, would they feel the pain? They immediately left, by the way. I think it was a good question. Shame on them for not answering it. I wasn't going to do anything. But I can see some people possibly in Vrchat trying to recreate that one Mr. Robot scene with Tyrell Wellock and the homeless guy as a form of stress relief. And at this point with Vrchat, if that did happen, I wouldn't be surprised. But anyway, before I get too sidetracked, phantom pain is mentioned briefly in the study paper I mentioned earlier. Specifically, they use one comment where someone was elbowed in Vrchat by their partner and actually felt it, so this paper at least suggests it is somewhat real. But I like to think phantom pain is a lot rarer than general phantom sense, and for some reason it's more common in Vrchat than ever before now, especially after the many videos mentioning it. And all I'm going to say is be somewhat skeptical of the people claiming they have it, especially if they are going out of their way to tell everyone in the lobby for some reason. But another phantom sense is phantom smell, which is being able to smell things within the game. And fucking hell, I would not wish this on my worst enemy. Being able to smell a Vrchat lobby would probably be the same as smelling concentrated ammonia, and would probably come along with the deadly effects. This is also an actual thing outside of VR, normally stemming from things like head injuries or sinus infections, but it's not uncommon to experience it without any of this. And most of the time these people smell quite foul things. In Vrchat, these people allegedly smell the people around them and their surroundings, and sometimes things that aren't even there. I couldn't find any studies on it, at least in the virtual world, that go into if it is a thing or why it happens. But from a survey from people that apparently do have phantom sense, 17% said they do experience phantom smell. So do with that what you will. But from said survey, apparently the rarest is phantom taste with 8%. I actually feel sorry for you if you are able to taste the horrors of this game. And I hope in the future there are more studies going into things like this, and if they are 100% real, once again it's okay to be skeptical. But probably one that I can say I genuinely doubt, and at least in my opinion don't believe in, is phantom pregnancy.
Basically, me and him had a child together in VR, and he refused to be the father.
He was the biological father?
Of my phantom child, yes.
Like the others, phantom pregnancy is a thing that happens in real life, where a woman can feel the symptoms of pregnancy such as nausea and even swollen abdomens, despite not actually being pregnant with a fetus, and it is considerably rare. On Vrchat though, it's apparently a thing because, I don't know if you know this, people have avatars that can get visually pregnant on Vrchat. Oh, the horrors of knowledge. Yeah, some avatars have sliders where you can adjust the size of your stomach and stage of pregnancy. Somewhere out there, someone like Pyrocynical is very happy right now. And through this, people have supposedly started developing the feeling that they are actually pregnant, even if they can't even physically get pregnant. I've even seen some where they complain about kicks in their stomach and even potentially going into labour. In the community, this topic is somewhat ridiculed, with the mentioning of things like phantom abortions or kicking them down virtual stairs so they have a phantom miscarriage. There's no hard evidence for this being a thing, in Vrchat at least. If it was a thing, and if I wanted to rationalize this, I would say having an avatar that can visibly be pregnant can maybe trick your brain in some ways, but I don't believe it is a thing, at least in the virtual world. I'm sorry, I think it's either a form of roleplay or a symptom of severe unemployment. Next time, wear phantom contraception or something. Also, for the people that claim they have phantom sense and all the other subgenres I mentioned, even though they are a desktop user with no headset whatsoever, I've got a nice butt plug made out of sandpaper I could sell you.
Walter. Put your dick away, Walter. I'm not having sex with you right now, Walter.
So in conclusion, yes, phantom sense in regards to Vrchat is somewhat of a contended topic, and it does have a relatively poor reputation with the countless amount of people claiming they have it, and it coming with a bunch of subgenres that are even more contended, and some outright strange. But if you trust the academic studies and the people claiming they have it, it may be possible to feel interactions in a video game through the lens of a VR headset. The only thing I don't believe is that people can feel a full-on fetus in a video game. That is the only thing out of all of this I don't fully buy. But yeah, that's phantom sense in Vrchat, another bit of useless information you didn't need in that small crowded head, probably filled with hosts. But I'll probably educate you again on the horrors of this platform in your next colonoscopy in due time. But yeah, that's all I had to say, and bye bye.